So delusions, they always do despite clear evidence to the contrary. And of course, the caveats are someone's culture or religion. So, whatever it is, in something like Day of the Dead, for Mexicans, whatever, the idea that like you can communicate with the dead that day. If this weren't a cultural thing, someone telling you I can communicate with the dead, or this day is when you communicate with the dead, you would say, that's kind of strange. But when it's a cultural thing / religious thing, it's not considered a delusion. However, the big thing here is there is clear evidence to the contrary. So for example, Joe thinks that his wife is cheating on him. All right, he's like, I know my wife is with Jimmy, and so he calls Jimmy's phone, and Jimmy's in the other room. And he's like, "Where's my wife? Where's my wife?" And his wife's at work or something. Like clearly the wife isn't there. Clearly Jimmy's not with his wife. But despite clear evidence to the contrary, you maintain this belief. There can be a bunch of different types. Erotomanic, meaning you think someone's in love with you or whatever. Grandiose, you're jealous, you're being persecuted, whatever. Disorganized thought. So these are some things that we're going to talk about down in a little bit. Tangentiality versus derailment / loose associations. You often see this a lot in schizophrenia. So incoherent word salad is a very nice way of thinking about it. Just a bunch of words that don't make sense together. You'd say something like, if someone were to ask you, how was your day today? And you just respond with, oh, bags, fan, crazy, dup, on, just a bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense. Literally salad of words. Tangentiality and derailment / loose associations can often get kind of jumbled. A good way to think about it is kind of like this. Here's tangentiality. Your answer is kind of related. It kind of feels that you're maybe avoiding the question when someone asks you. So if someone said, what kind of sport did you do today? A tangential answer would be, Usain Bolt's the fastest man in the world. You're kind of thinking, okay, but that's not really what I'm getting at. All right. Compared to something like loose association, or derailment is a nicer way to think of it, where you're going on this and then, whoa, all of a sudden you fall way off the tracks. So if I were to ask you, what kind of sport did you do today? You would maybe answer with something like, oh, yes, sports. Usain Bolt's the fastest man. Jamaican beef patties are really something. I don't particularly eat meat, so it started off super nice. You ask him what kind of sports he plays, and he's just like, yes, sports. And then he talks about Usain Bolt. Whatever, he's a sporting guy, I guess. And then he goes to talk about Jamaica, because Usain Bolt's from Jamaica. And then he starts talking about beef patties and meat, and what the hell is this guy talking about? He's just falling off the rails. Loose associations, going from this thing to this thing to this thing. What the heck? A tangential answer can be compared to a what's it called? It's different from a loose association or derailment, just in the sense that the answer is tangentially related, but it feels evasive. And of course, in a tangential answer, you never get back to the point. Loose association, you just fall off the rails. All right. Okay, great. Hallucinations. Here's the big thing. It's in the absence of external stimuli, which contrasts with illusions where you have an external stimulus. So for example, if it's nighttime or something, and you think that there's a man inside of your room, and you turn on the light, and it was just the coat rack, with your hat on it and your jacket that made it look like a man. Well, that's not a hallucination, because something was actually there, and it kind of looked like it. It's a misperception. It's an illusion. All right. However, if you're just walking along and you see, a bunch of Smurfs walking on the ground next to you, and there's nothing blue or 3 apples high, then that's a hallucination. And here's some different types of hallucinations, and these are the different, what I've highlighted, these are the different things that they'll test you on in terms of their relations. Olfactory, they love testing tumors. You start, smelling things that aren't there, think tumor. Think a lot of things, but tumor. Hypnagogic, always think narcolepsy. Right before you fall asleep, you see a weird bunny or something. Oh, narcolepsy. I mean, just seeing a bunny before you fall asleep doesn't make it narcolepsy, but if you keep falling asleep, at random intervals and you can't do anything about it, and as you do it, you see some things that aren't there, you think, oh, look at these hypnagogic hallucinations, narcolepsy. Bang. Tactile, always with drugs. They love testing things like this. Delusional parasitosis. Visual, delirium. Huge with alcohol withdrawal. And of course, hearing voices, people always think of schizophrenia. So remember, tangentiality versus derailment or loose associations. Tangentiality is, you're kind of answering it, but you sound like you're evading the question. Whereas loose associations is, you're just falling off the rails. Nothing's making any sense.